How's it going, guys? My name is Theo Graham, and welcome to One Guy, One Take. Now, this is actually my first ever YouTube video on this channel, so I do really appreciate you guys tuning in. And before we get into this video, I do really want to introduce myself and tell you who I am and what this channel is about. So, like I said, my name is Theo. I'm a 19-year-old kid from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I always had a huge passion for sports revolving around many different leagues and hope to make it some point in my career someday. So on this channel, I'll be discussing a variety of players, teams, news, leagues around the sports world. And I just really want to make a name for myself in the sports industry and just give you guys my opinions and knowledge on everything. So I really appreciate you guys. And today's my first video. So here we go. And here's my NFL mock draft. So to start things off, disclaimer, I am a Green Bay Packers fan and I'm picking for the Chicago Bears right now. And I'll give you guys my raw and honest opinion. And to start things off, first things first, I do believe Justin Fields is a great quarterback. Now, I've seen him improve a lot over the past year, and I'm very proud of him for it. I was really big on him out of Ohio State, well, Georgia and Ohio State coming out of his draft, but we've never really seen him make that final push that separates him from being middle of the pack quarterback to a great quarterback. And it takes time. It definitely takes time for that. Some people just have it. Some people it takes time. It takes for the team, it takes for the coaching revolving around him. And I think Fields has played all right this year, especially having a true wide receiver one in DJ Moore, who had about 1,300 yards. Most of the players went to him. And I think Fields is a great quarterback. And I just don't think he is the right person in the system. And when you have a guy like Caleb Williams, who is generational talent, I don't think you can pass up on him, which is why I'm going to be taking Caleb Williams. But it's really no disrespect to Fields. I think he's still a great quarterback. I just think you cannot pass up on a guy like Caleb Williams. So hopefully you can bring a spark back into Chicago, just like they used to have in the old days. But in the meantime, go Pack. But here comes Caleb Williams to Chicago. So the next pick, the Washington Commanders are selecting. And I'm gonna keep it honest, I don't think there's gonna be many trades in this draft. Um, I know a lot of people think that, but it's just like I said, my raw, honest opinion. I don't think there's gonna be many trades. And speaking of the Commanders, they've had 8 straight losing seasons. They're gonna have a new coach, new GM, and I think Drake May is the franchise quarterback for them. Like he's a big body, big wide frame. He has a strong arm that could, help De'Ami Brown and Terry McLaurin kind of jumpstart their offense and everything like that. So I do feel like Drake May, he has that playmaking ability as well with his legs, um, which really just makes him different from a lot of the quarterbacks in this draft, and a lot of quarterbacks we've seen in different years. He really has a dual threat style quarterback play, and I feel like this is much needed for a boost in the Washington Commanders organization. So that being said, I will be taking Drake May in this. Moving on to my next pick, like I said, I don't think it's going to be that many trades, and I do see the New England Patriots taking another quarterback off the board, which is kind of crazy to see 3 straight quarterbacks. But like I said, it's quarterbacks is this year, you know what I mean? So lots of great talent coming out of here. And I do think that a guy we've seen just make play after play, whether it be at Arizona State or LSU, is Jane Daniels. And this guy is literally the sky's the limit for this kid. You know what I mean? He's really good playmaker with his legs. He's had great talent surrounding him for his years in college, whether it be at one of the 2 schools. You know, he had Malik Neighbors at LSU, which was his number one, excuse me. And he had Brandon Ayuk at Arizona State, which was his number one. He won a Heisman at LSU. This guy's a proven winner. And I do believe that as of right now, Bill Belichick stepping away from the job. So we will see a new head coach. I do believe it may be Mike Vrabel, but we will see when that comes. But I do think Jane Daniels is the right pick for New England, and just to really boost their offense. We've seen Demario Douglas make flashes out here. I haven't really seen much of Devontae Parker as much as I want to see, but I feel like the right pick in this draft is Jane Daniels. Next pick in the draft belongs to the Arizona Cardinals. So with them, they have a banged up O line, especially with Humphreys probably going to be out most of next season. But when you have a guy like Marvin Harrison, who've never really seen a receiver like him come out of the draft, I think it's hard to pass up on him for sure. And I think Kyler Murray still has it. I think he's going to get back to his old 2021 winning season way. He's going to prove why he was the number one pick in 2019. So I do think Marvin Harrison is the right pick in this draft. Their receiving core is for sure lacking. They could definitely use a true number one, and which is why I'm going to be taking Marvin Harrison here. Next pick in the draft, the Los Angeles Chargers. To be honest, they kind of disappointed me. I really had high expectations for them going to this year, and I thought with Keenan Allen really stepping it up, I really thought that you know this could be something that could be pushed to the playoffs. But coaching problems happen, and stuff happens in sports. Uh, you're not always going to get what you expect and stuff like that. But I feel like with speaking of Keenan Allen and that whole receiving core, I mean Keenan Allen is turning 32 soon, and Malik Neighbors could be that number one guy if he is drafted to the Chargers for Justin Herbert. We haven't really seen Quinton J step it up too much. And that was supposed to be their number two, or even in a couple years number one receiver. And I could be wrong. Maybe he could step it up in the years coming, but he hasn't really shown me much. And I do believe Malik Neighbors is I feel like he had a better season than Marvin Harrison, although I do believe that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the better wide receiver. But I do think Malik Neighbors is perfect fit for this offense. Like I said, they need a true one, and they do have Ben Allen, but it's just he is kind of getting a bit old. So we will see how that goes. But I think Malik Neighbors is a strong pick and a big role for this offense. Next pick, the New York Giants. Now, just like the Chargers, I did have pretty high expectations after the year prior, but things not pan out just like the LA Chargers. Like I said, it happens. So with the Giants pick, obviously I do believe their receiving core lacks a lot, with Rondell Robinson probably being their one. And I feel like Rome Odunze is a perfect fit for that. He's 6'3". He's above 200 pounds. And really with that kind of size and his I'd say about 4.3 speed, is you don't see that too often. And he balled out this past season with Michael Penix. It was really entertaining to see, and it really brought his name up to the top 10 conversation, and in this scenario, even the top 6, in my opinion. So as of right now, I will be taking Rome Odunze to the New York Giants. I do believe that this could definitely spark and boost something new for the New York Giants. The Tennessee Titans. Now, they already have their quarterback of the future, in my opinion, I believe, which is Will Levis. And I think that this O-line could use some help and really protect his blind side. And that man would be Joe Alt. You know, big 6'8", I'd say 315 about kind of tackle. And this guy could really be generational talent. I'm not saying this, I'm not biased. I'm not trying to be biased. I am a Notre Dame fan. This guy has had one game where he's just kind of looked out of sync, and that was against Louisville this past season. But other than that, he's looked sharper than a knife, this guy. And you won't really see many flaws in him. He's a really good run blocker as well. And just not many guys will get past him. So I do believe that this is the right pick for Tennessee and this O-line protecting Will Levis. Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons. And this one may surprise a lot of people. It kind of pains me to say this name and pick him in my mock draft as of right now, being a Notre Dame fan, but this might open some eyes. But I'm gonna say JJ McCarthy. I think, he just won a national championship. He's a proven winner. He may not have, the stats that might wow you or the plays that might wow you, but he does make the right winning plays, which is, something that Atlanta Falcons could need sometimes. No shot, no disrespect, but I do think that JJ McCarthy is a proven winner, and if he has the right team around him, he already has a guy like Bijan Robinson he can throw to at the backfield. Great playmaking ability with his legs, and he can throw the deep ball, which some of you don't get. And this, like I said, coming from a Notre Dame fan, he is a great player and proven winner, and Atlanta could really use him. So if I can find him right here, and we're gonna draft him. Back to the Bears here. After taking Caleb Williams, the first overall pick. I think they do hop on the defensive side of the ball here with this pick. And to go along with Montez Sweat, I'm gonna go with our first, I do believe now, yeah, first Alabama player taken off the board in this draft. It's gonna be Dallas Turner. I think that he has great length. He's a great edge rusher. He's very strong, he's very fast, very athletic, and he could cover out at the backfield if there is any running back out there. I do believe that if he could just increase his speed, increase his agility a bit more, he could maybe get to guard those guys like the Aaron Jones in his division, the Bijan Robinsons. But he is a great player. He's a playmaker. He gets a lot of sacks, and I think that this will be a great play for the Bears going forward with their defense. I did really like their pick last year with Tyreek Stevenson, and I feel like this could be another hit right here with Dallas Turner. The New York Jets. Now, do I think they need a receiver? Yes. Do I think they take one? Sort of. See what I'm saying? I think a guy like Brock Bowers, who with his size, he is technically a tight end. With his size, his blocking, his receiving ability makes him one of the best tight end prospects we've seen. I think, in my opinion, better than Kyle Pitts. In my opinion, even seen in the past 10 years. I mean, he proven winner. This guy catch. He's a great route runner, great run blocker, and we've even seen him do a couple of jet sweeps. He has great speed and not enough good things to say about this guy. And I think with Rodgers and this new offense, I think this is what they need. And I do believe this is a smart pick for them. And I just truly believe that they can, even in a tough division, they can still make a playoff push with this roster, and it's a lot of help with the receiving core. Garrett Wilson did was expected for a big year, and without Rodgers, it was kind of hard to get that with the quarterbacks he was dealt with. But I think Brock Bowers is a great other option to Garrett Wilson right here. Now we have the Minnesota Vikings, and in my opinion, I do think that Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback. Um, he may not be, the Patrick Mahomes or the Lamar Jackson that you may want, but he makes winning plays, and we've really seen what the Minnesota Vikings can be without him. He is certainly the glue guy, in my opinion. As you've even seen last year, he did make winning plays and he led them to a playoff. And it may not be, you know, like the thing that they want is the Super Bowl, but he does the job well, and he's a great player for the Minnesota Vikings. We're really seeing what the Vikings can be without him. I know they had to deal with Josh Dobbs and Sharon Hall, but I do believe that he is the glue guy, and I think that the Vikings go on the defensive side of the ball here. They need a lot of help and young talent on this defensive line, especially with their best edge rusher being Danielle Hunter, who is getting kind of old. I think he's around pushing his 30s or something like that. And I do believe they just need a young player, and I feel like Jared Verse is that guy. Great length, great width. I mean, he's very athletic, and he could really cause a lot of problems for these NFC North quarterbacks, which kind of pains me to say, but I do believe Jared Verse is a great player. Next, we'll be picking for the Denver Broncos, and this pick is going to have some flashbacks of an Alabama cornerback with Pat Surtain, but this time I do think they take Kool-Aid McKinstry. McKinstry's great shutdown man side corners, strictly man on man. He is very good in the zone as well, and I feel like he's one of those guys that can really just shut down one side of the field. You know what I mean? He's not really a ball hawk as I really want him to be for this defense. He only had 2 interceptions over his 3 years at the University of Alabama, but still a great pick. And I feel like him and Surtain could really be, shut down guys, which could really help the Broncos kind of blossom more as a defense. And I feel like that will translate more for the Broncos in a winning way. And as their offense is still improving. So I'm going to take Kool-Aid McKinstry in this pick. The next pick, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. And I know it may be a surprise to some that Olu Fashanu is still on the board here. And here's why I take him. And big guy, 6'6", 315. He is also one of the best linemen we've seen in the past couple of years. And I just have a slight edge to Alt, just due to his run blocking ability. But I do think that this is a much needed piece in this Raiders offense. Now we have the New Orleans Saints, and I will go on the defensive side of the ball here. I do think they take the edge rusher to UCLA Latu. This guy is a beast. You know, we've seen that over his past couple of years in college, and with Cam Jordan kind of getting old, I do think they do need another spark. And just a young player, just like how Minnesota needed theirs. And I feel like Latu is that guy. He was a beast in the Pac-12, beast for UCLA, and I feel like he'll be a beast for the New Orleans Saints. And I think this Saints defense is headed in a great direction. They do have a great secondary. They have a linebacker like Pete Werner, who doesn't usually rush a ton. So I feel like Latu is this playmaker that could get to the quarterbacks. We now have the Indianapolis Colts. So with them, they are in desperate need of a wide receiver one. I did really like their pick last year with Josh Downs, and he showed definite flashes of becoming one of those kind of like small, twitchy guys who can really make a play. And I think he's a great player. And with Pittman and Pierce and Downs, I really don't think there's a true one. So I think their next best receiver in this draft is Keon Coleman, coming at 6'4" with his speed and his route running ability, along with contested catching ability. I think this guy can really step into Indy and be that number one guy. He had a great season. He had a great couple seasons with Michigan State and with Florida State. So I think he is the right pick in this draft. So I'm gonna type him in, and you are now a Colt. Next, we have the Seattle Seahawks, who did just miss out on a playoff spot. And I think they go defense here. They already have a stacked receiving core with drafting Jackson Smith and Jigba last year. And now with DK and Lockett, even though Lockett is kind of getting kind of old, I don't think they really need much on the offensive side of the ball. They dropped an offense the past couple of years in the first round. So I do think they go Jer'Zhan Newton here out of Illinois. And I like this pick. I think they could add more pressure to the quarterback. I really like their pick in previous years, Jordan Brooks. But I think this guy, Jer'Zhan Newton, that's just showing flashes. And I feel like he could be a big piece to the Seattle Seahawks here. Next, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, here's a big name that I've kind of been leaving out for a while. It's gonna be Terrion Arnold. Jags, in my opinion, they need a cornerback. Tyson Campbell was not really the guy that they'd hoped him to be. And unlike McKinstry, even though McKinstry's a great corner, he doesn't have that ball hawking ability like Terrion Arnold does. So definitely a great year for the Crimson Tide with cornerbacks, and they are really kind of developing. And don't call me crazy, maybe DBU if you want to put a label on that. But Arnold, man, 5 picks in the past year. He's a great player, great playmaker, and he's going to make plays for this Jags defense. Bengals need help on this O-line. In previous years, there's a lot of controversy about Chase being drafted over an O-line, but that really seemed to work out. But now it's kind of biting them a bit. And Burrow is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL, and with his return next year, I feel like he's going to need some more protection. So with J.C. Latham out of Alabama, highly top 5 recruited guy out of high school, depending on what website you're on. Out of IMG Academy, he played great at Bama, and I feel like this is a great pick for the Bengals organization and really well needed. I feel like they have a lot of their defense wrapped up, and hopefully they can get back to that Super Bowl game and maybe pull it out soon. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm so proud of this team. You guys do not understand. Youngest team in the NFL making the playoffs. I'm not going to try to talk about it too much, but the point is they do have a young team. I've been very impressed with guys like Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave, and Jayden Reed kind of making plays on the offense side of the ball. So I do think they go defense here. And what they've kind of been wanting, their edge rusher, along with Rashawn Gary, I do think they take JT Tuimalu out of Ohio State, another highly recruited guy, just like Latham, top five at a high school. And this guy is he's legit. He has very good moves against the O lineman, very good swim moves, very good spin moves, and I feel like this could help add pressure to maybe new Caleb Williams in Chicago with his speed. If he can get at the pocket, he could chase him. So I feel like this is the right pick for the Packers. Moving on to the next pick, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Um, I I think they go O line here, and when you have a guy like Amarius Mims, 6'7", he is a big piece to any organization that picks him. And I think in this case, maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I've also been very impressed with the Bucks of what they've been doing. I think Baker Mayfield has been playing out of his mind recently, really beating those bust allegations. So it's really good to see that. And I think they just need one more piece on the O line, and I feel like their defense has been playing great recently too. And I think Mims is the right pick. You know, we've been talking about him a long time, even before he was draft eligible. So we're gonna take him here, and he is now a first rounder. Back to the Arizona Cardinals, I've taken Marvin Harrison. I do think that, you know, Garrett Williams and, you know, Marco Wilson aren't really the answers for the Arizona Cardinals and their cornerbacks. So I do think Cooper DeJean is a great pick. He is a bit undersized, but he makes up for it with his speed and playmaking ability. He can return punts and lock up your favorite receiver. And he's just been one of the better cornerbacks I've seen at his size, you know, come out of the draft. So we're gonna take Cooper DeJean right here. Next, moving on to the Rams. I think Stafford can either get traded or he could be a great teaching assistant in the NFL to Michael Penix. And I think Penix has, you know, he is great. I'm very sad about what happened in the national championship to him. He really gave it his all, just like all the other players did. But Penix has proven himself to be one of the best college quarterbacks we've seen in the past couple of years. This guy's a strong arm. He's just a winner. You know what I mean? He's kind of been an underdog his whole college career, even at Indiana. And I feel like Penix is the right guy and could be the future one day for the Los Angeles Rams. So Michael Penix, you are a Ram in my eyes right here. Now moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, just another wild card team here. Um, Now it is kind of unfortunate what they heard with the news TJ Watt. It seems like he might be out for a while, and they may need some help with the edge rushers right here. And I feel like Chop Robinson is a guy that is great. You know what I mean? He could pair across from TJ Watt when he is healthy, or if TJ Watt keeps these injuries up, you could fill in for him. And no one wants to see anyone, especially a guy like TJ Watt, really get injured. So I do think a smart choice is Chop Robinson, in case this injury goes until the next year. So we'll see what happens. But Chop Robinson is a great player, very long stride and just very like quick off the edge. 4 sacks last year, and just great overall tackler in my opinion. The next pick is the Miami Dolphins, and a player I do have my eye on had a big breakout season, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, and although they may be fine in the receiver position, I feel like they can maybe turn him into a tight end. The guy I'm talking about is Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. He is 6'3", big body. He can really make a great contested catch, and he still has great stride, great speed. I feel like this Miami team is built of speed, and especially if they can turn him to a tight end and as a speedy one, I feel like this could be a problem for the NFL. So I'm going to take Xavier Legette right here. Next, moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I have really been disappointed with them, to be honest with you, just like as many of us have. And I do still think they'll beat the Bucks, but that's for another video. And with this defense, I feel like they are extremely talented defense, but I think they are kind of getting pretty old. And especially with cornerbacks like James Bradbury and Darius Slay kind of getting old, I feel like a boost was much needed with this corner out of Clemson, Nate Wiggins. And I'm going to be taking him here to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs. Now, they've had their issues with receivers. Kelsey hasn't had 1,000 yards this year, which we expected out of him. And Obviously, we know about Kadarius Toney with the drops. I do really like Rashee Rice. I think he's played awesome. But I do think they take a receiver here. They really have no other choice. And I feel like this guy is Troy Franklin. Over 1,000 yards this past year rather, and he's just been great hands, very tall, lengthy receiver. Which I feel like Mahomes could really throw a jump ball to because he doesn't really have that kind of guy. But yeah, I feel like this guy can be an X factor for this team in the coming years. The Houston Texans. I have been extremely impressed with this team. I wasn't big on Stroud in the beginning of the season, to be completely honest with you guys, but this guy's played like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. And with his receiving core, with Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, and Tank Dell going down with an injury, I do think they could maybe use one more. And I feel like he could go back to one of his old receivers in Ohio State with Emeka Egbuka. And this guy has been a baller as well. He really helped out. He was a wide receiver too to Marv. But he does have past chemistry with CJ Stroud, which is why I believe that this is a smart pick for them. The Detroit Lions, congratulations to them. It pains me to say, to win the NFC North. They're going up against the Rams this week, so we'll see what happens in that game. But in regards to their pick, I think they go defense here. I think they take Chris Braswell out of Alabama. Obviously another edge rusher here, along with Hutchinson. They really banged on Hutchinson huge in that past 2022 draft. And I feel like there hasn't been much production otherwise other than Aiden Hutchinson. So I feel like Braswell can be a big pick and a big piece in this team in this defense as well. So I'll be picking him. Next, move on to the Bills. And the Bills have been probably the best team in the NFL in the past couple weeks. One thing I do want to see of them is a wide receiver two and a true one. They already have Diggs as their one. I really want to see someone else step in. And I feel like that guy is Donnie Mitchell. I haven't really seen much out of Gabe Davis to really excite me as a two. I feel like this team needs another receiver. I know Kincaid was a great pick last year, so him and Knox have been great on the tight end, blocking, receiving roles. But I feel like Mitchell has proven it at Georgia and at Texas. He's a great receiver, great length, great hands. So I feel like they take him right here. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys. So this is my most hated team this week, but we still need to pick for them. So this pick, I do actually really like this player. I think he will be staying in the state of Texas, and this would be Jonathan Brooks, running back. I haven't been impressed with Pollard this year, and I feel like adding another running back is definitely helpful. Brooks has been great for Texas. I feel like this 1-2 punch with him and Pollard could be big, and which is why I'll be picking him. So let me type in his name, and he's now drafted. The next pick belongs to the San Francisco 49ers, and I really like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. here. He could get interceptions, he could sack the quarterback. He's a very versatile piece. I like to call him a Swiss Army knife. He could really just do whatever. And I feel like the Niners, there's not much they need, to be completely honest with you. They're a very complete team, very great team who could maybe even win a Super Bowl this year. But I feel like Trotter is definitely something they don't really want to miss out on here. With the last pick in the first round, we have the Baltimore Ravens, and they have been the best team in the NFL this season, and I would not be surprised if they win a Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens. But I did really like their pick last year with Zay Flowers, and I feel like they might just need one more piece to add on to that. And I know it's kind of crazy drafting 2 first-round receivers in a row, but I feel like Ladd McConkey is that guy, and I feel like he's very undersized, but he's a great playmaker, man. This guy has great speed, great deep, especially deep running ability. So we'll see what that can do. It might open up the offense for Baltimore just a bit more. And this will be our final pick in the first round. Well, I thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you made it to the end, please like, subscribe, share with a friend. It'd be very helpful. Like I said, this is my first video, so just trying to test out the waters here. But this is a bit what I'll be doing on this page. So I really appreciate you for tuning in. This is the official draft I made. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.